Hi everyone, this is Becky from My Creative Life. Today I'm sharing another layout here in my large Dylusions journal. This is the 9 by 12 journal. I will go ahead and link all of the items I used today on this layout down below in my description box. Now I'm going to begin by adding some white acrylic paint to my background. I did not gesso my pages. I just went directly with the titanium white here. Then I'm going to put it aside and work on some silhouettes to add to my layout. I'm going to be using the Dylusions silhouettes, the exact ones that I use. I will link them down below. And I had these pattern papers here, this 6x6 pattern paper pack on my desk from my last layout. So I decided to go ahead and cut out these silhouettes using those pattern papers, but of course they are 6x6 size, so they're not gonna be long enough for the silhouettes. So I decided to go ahead and cut my pattern paper down the center, or almost the center, not exact, and piece it together with some washi tape on the back of the patterned side of this paper. And you'll see exactly how I do it right here with the first one. I repeat the process that you're going to see right now with all three of these silhouettes. But of course, I do not let you watch me fussy cut these out and trace them out like I'm doing right now for all three of them, because that would just be boring. So I'm just going to show you guys exactly how I did the first one, and of course I repeated it for all three of these silhouettes. Now you can see I did go ahead and trace my silhouettes on the back of the paper. That way, if I had any of the outline left back on there, because I'm not being exactly careful and exact with my fussy cutting here, if I had any of the outline left over, you're not going to see it. It's not going to be on the front of the silhouette. So there I completed my girl. Here's my boy. That is from the Otis stencil and silhouette set. And here's another girl. Now I'm going to add some color to my background. My white paint is completely dry at this point, and I'm going to go in here with some rose quartz. I want to be able to see the brush marks on the top and the bottom, and I'm going to extend my color all the way to the ends on both sides. Now I have a wet brush here, and in between colors I do not clean them completely. I will give it a slight little swish in the water and clean it off a tiny bit, but not completely, because I do want these colors to blend. So here I'm going in with some vanilla custard, and then I'll add just a tiny drop of laid back lilac. And all of these are Dylusion colors and paints, and I will of course link them down below. So I made sure once I added my paint, I made sure it was nice and dry, because I want to add some stenciling now. And I'm using here a leaf stencil. This is from Dylusions. And I'm going to add some textured, actually this is molding, light molding paste. And I'm going to add this stenciling to several areas here on this background. And I absolutely love how that white shows up so nicely on that painted background. So next up, I'm gonna add in some hand-drawn leaves in black just to add some contrast. I went in lightly at first just to make sure I would like what it would look like. And if I didn't like it, I could just cover it up with one of the silhouettes. But I absolutely love how it was looking. So I went ahead and used this marker here from Fiskars, and I'm just drawing in those black leaves, filling them in several areas close to where I have those white leaves, those white textured leaves already. And I love how this looked. That pop of black just brightened up this layout. So now I'm going to use some black soot distress ink here and ink the edges of all three of my silhouettes. That way, once I put them on my background, they're going to stand out and be defined against all of those colors back there. And of course, one of those silhouettes will go over by those black leaves, so it definitely helped to ink the edges. So now I'm adding in a little bit of shading where my silhouettes will be standing. I'm using my Stabilo oil pencil, and I'm just gonna use a little tiny brush with some water added to that brush, and that will just activate that pencil and add a little bit of shading there below those two figures that's going to be on the right, and then I'll do the same to the figure that's going to be on the left page. I will use some matte gel medium and adhere all three of these to my background. So now I'm going to pull out my Art by Marlena quotes here. I am going to add one to the center of my layout. It says, "Stay wild, flower child." And I'll go ahead and adhere that right there on both pages. So now I'm going to add a little bit of detail to my leaves. And you know I love just being messy with art journaling. These leaves are not perfectly drawn. The detail on them are not perfect either. I am adding some lines, some of those I'm filling them in, and I'm just adding some dots on some of those leaves as well. So I'm using my correction fluid pen here, which was bright enough. It will stand up against that black. My gel pens was not working really well on this marker at all, but that correction fluid pen, it works perfectly every time. So I'm gonna go ahead and just continue adding some details to all of these leaves. So now I'm using my white gel pen. I'm just gonna outline my silhouettes here. Some of those lines are broken, some are solid. I'm just gonna go around really messy all around each one of these and outline them. And here I am just adding in a few more leaves. Now you may notice already that my edge, the edge of my layout is not inked at all, but I do add splatters. I'm adding some black splatters. This would be black India ink I'm using for these splatters. And next up, I will add a little bit of stamping. Now, Dylusions have ink pads that match perfectly with their paints. I do not have any ink pads that match perfectly with the paints that I use. I tried the green, but it was just a little bit too bright. So I'm gonna use this fuchsia. I think it's called fuchsia, and it's bright, really bright compared to the pink, the rose quartz that I use. But once I wiped it away with the baby wipes, the moist baby wipes, it faded a little bit. It's still a little bit bright, but it also added a really nice contrast, and it also added a really nice pop against this background. So I was happy with how it looked. And here I'm just masking off some areas because I do not want to get any of that on the silhouettes. I want it to look as though it's sticking out from behind those silhouettes. So I went ahead and stamped these little flowers all around my page, and I absolutely love how this turned out even without an inked edge, which is definitely different than a lot of my art journal layouts. I love having a dark edge on my layouts, but I wanted to do something a little bit different today, so I tried it without the inked edge. I hope you guys enjoyed the process today. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Check out my channel. If you like what you see, go ahead, hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell so you'll know once I upload new videos. And I want to thank y'all for watching today. So until my next video, bye.